Eileo guys, if you are new to the channel, my name is Eileo of course. To those who aren't, thanks for stopping by. So recently I had gotten a chance to partake in a network test for the upcoming Code Vein. I had streamed all 2 hours of it and I figured I would give you my thoughts on the game so far. Now Code Vein originally was supposed to be released late last year, but the developers had decided to go back and work out some kinks. My job, along with many others who were chosen, was to test the progress so far. If you want a short review of it, the only thing I can tell you is it has one of the best character creations that I've seen in quite some time. That's literally my only remark. It brings nothing else to the table. Now for those looking for a more meaty review, please continue to watch. I had just mentioned the character creation. This game does quite an amazing job at it. We're able to select from a pre-selected group of characters and then are able to go into more explicit detail about those characters. Like many other games, you change the iris, tattoos on the character's body, and even the accessories around their neck, but what Code Vein brings with it is a sort of satisfaction. Every option I had wanted for my character was there. You could choose to go over the top with it if you wish. At the same time, you can go as generic as you want. There's a great sense of balance within the creation menu without it seeming too cluttered or over the top. This leads, unfortunately, to a false sense of hope. As I was thrown into the beginning part of the game, which serves as a tutorial, the veil casted around my head was lifted up. Here in the tutorial, you learn about special powers you and only you have. Your character is able to harbor many blood types, which allows you to use many different abilities on the fly. Once a power is mastered through leveling up, you are able to use it even if you aren't in that class that it stemmed from. Not to mention you are freely able to change gear, passives, skills, and classes on the fly through the menu of the game. On one hand, it's pretty cool that some abilities can follow you from the beginning of the game to the very end. But at the same time, it raises a big red flag. In order to get that near perfect build, will I have to invest in every single class? Surely those 8 skill slots that we are given will be used up quite quickly, but that's not all. By the end of the demo, I had already acquired 7 different classes. From the look of the game's UI, it appears the main game will have a lot more to choose from. I also forgot to mention that Haze is their version of experience in this game. You can use it to either level yourself or your skills. After the introduction to classes, you are taught combat. It follows suit to many other action games, where one button is your light attack and then another is your heavy. Circle is used to dodge and the X button is used to charge up an attack that drains essentially SP away from your enemy. Each skill you cast costs SP that cannot be recovered without resting at a missile, similar to Dark Souls Campfire, or via draining it from your enemies. The drain move changes itself with each weapon that you equipped, so with a broadsword it may transform into a close range claw type weapon. With the bayonet equipped, it transforms more into like a long needle like chain that stabs the enemy. I really like that aspect. It added some uniqueness to each weapon, but my biggest issue with this is why add a skill limit, use, if we can easily regenerate it back and even store an excessive amount. Couldn't I just spam drain until I got to the boss and spam whatever move I had saved up, since my SP would already be over its regular limit? This mechanic left me puzzled for some reason. On to the overall feel of the combat, the enemies, and of course the world in itself. Our character travels underground through some breeding ground of monsters that may have been people or who are here to consume people. I'm not exactly sure. We also learn that our character and the people we meet are probably reanimated humans that were engineered as weapons to fight some sort of corruption. The world itself looks fairly well. It's not the most detailed world I have seen to date, but it is acceptable. I love the style of it. It's dark and anime-like, but not too anime-like. It brings a nice contrast to a world that is normally either very realistic or very cartoony. The enemies also bring out the flaws of the game. You can literally stand in front of an enemy from a few feet away and they do not see you. Look, I'm gonna stand here. How long does it take this dude to notice me? He still can't see me? He still can't see me? I am locked onto him and he's still... Dude. Really? Bruh. Their detection radius is far too small. I expected them to scout me out and hunt me down, but unless I get into their bubble, they could care less. I will give it to them with the enemy tracking, however, because once the enemy got a hold of you, they would track you down. In other games, you could cheese the enemy and get them stuck. In this one, it seems like that's not going to happen. But let's not forget about the overall design of the enemies. Perhaps this is just a few monsters out of the bunch, but maybe one or two max stood out to me, and the rest are just very, very bland. Oh, okay. Bruh. As I progressed through the underground paradise, I noticed a lot of stutters and frame drops. In one segment, I noticed the game stuttering simply by climbing up a hill. In other instances like combat, I noticed a sharp decrease in frames if there was more than one enemy on the screen. Graphically, the game does not look as demanding as other titles, but the way it ran, you could have convinced someone otherwise. I did die a few times due to my poor choices in combat, but once I got the hang of it, enemies became a joke. I could spam a move or two with little to no regret. The boss that is introduced for this demo is also a joke. I died the first time against it, due once again to playing without a care in the world. But once I gave him 10% more of my effort, he dropped like a fly. Now this isn't to say the game isn't fun, but if you had a Dark Souls-esque type of game in mind, then this might not be for you. It felt more similar to a hack and slash type game, with some stamina mechanics thrown in. I found it to be very, very clunky at times. I can see what the developers are aiming for, but it's just not there yet. The voice acting is very clean and professional, but after I got introduced to the main hub of the game, even more questions came into my mind. I know this is just a demo of sorts, but if this game is coming out this year, then I would be worried. Overall, I went hoping for the best, but I got the worst. Not every game has to be like Dark Souls, and maybe the developers are trying to curve that type of appeal to a more mainstream audience, but unfortunately you can tell where the time and devotion went into the most. The character creation is beautiful, and I don't mind classes having skills, but the core mechanics of the game seem unfinished. I felt uninterested in the story because my character is the one who's going to save the world. There is just nothing it brings to the table that isn't already there. This is the early stage of the game, so it could improve vastly from here, but from what I played and experienced, Code Vein is going to be a no for me, dog. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next video. Oof. Come on, Playboy. Dude, you didn't attack? Why does it stutter when you pick up an item? Okay, so that's like my heavy. What the hell? He's doing nothing. There you go. What the f was that? You see that?